Sanjay, you are being a very, very senior HR resource, XLR alumnus. We would like to understand, or rather, the young HR wants to know about the behavioral event interviewing. What tips can you give to the young HR at the time of taking these, BEIs?
Okay, so if the HR has to interview candidates and the behavioral event interview is something which has to be considered, then they need to follow certain guidelines. First of all is they need to read the candidate CV, and before even reading the candidate CV they need to have a complete idea of the role. So one is a job description, but also the dynamics of the role. What is that we are expecting from this role? Do we have the clear KRAs, the key result areas of this particular position? And then what kind of a working environment we have? Every organization will have some or the other culture. Whether that candidate is, fit into our culture or not. So for that they need to prepare questions. And I would suggest that the HR interviewers, they need to prepare at least 2 to 3 hours because the candidate is prepared and candidate can impress you for 30 to 45 minutes. And all that happens because the candidates are superficial. The HR interviewers are also superficial because they haven't gone through the CV. They haven't probably looked at what some of the things which are not written, which are important for candidate, which are important for the organization. So they need to have a detailed orientation. Number one, talking about the BEI, which they need to, it is always better to have a panel interview. Let's assume that we are interviewing a candidate, then you are focusing on 1 or 2 competencies. You have prepared, you have questions, you have sub questions. I am also assessing on something. I may be assessing on the functional competencies. Okay, I am also assessing a candidate, and the candidates' interviews have to be detailed. We cannot just be happy getting just one answer, or we cannot ask close-ended questions.
Yeah.
Rather, we must ask open-ended questions. For example, where are you from? He said that he's from particular place. Then he also would say that he worked there for 5 years. Then we need to ask that what kind of a role you were working for, which organization, and whether the team was there working with you, how many team members were there, what kind of a job which they were doing. Can you show us an organization chart? What was the turnover of your organization? What was the turnover of your department, your particular territory? And then you tell us a situation where things were quite tight and things were not working the way you thought of. Assuming there was a difficult market, what did you do in that? Okay, that particular scenario. And you can also ask that in particular year or quarter, there was a lull in the market. That means you are well read. The interviewers are well read. And if you ask this question, the candidates will become definitely cautious. He would feel that, oh, the interviewers are more prepared and they have gone through my CV or my profile, my presence on social media. So they would also be answering questions to their best abilities. And that is why our role is to ask, further detailed question. We also call this term as a gentle probing. Okay, you ask the first question, then the second question, then the third question, and you need to get into the behavioral codes. What kind of a behavior which he is displaying in that particular assignment. And some of the common questions which we ask, that tell us a situation where you feel that you have done a maximum sales, or what is the most accomplishment you still cherish for. Okay, now you look at the confidence of a candidate. He would feel so happy, he would be happy to talk about, and he will elaborate. There you need to listen to more. There could be a possibility that he may be talking a little excessive. There you need to control the interview, ask the pointed questions, so that you will get the best of the candidate's abilities.
Super. So what I understood here is HR has to do homework before he is going to take
Absolutely. You said it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, generally what happens, I have seen the trend that the candidate is reaching late. Then thereafter the HR people are into their own world, so they're also reaching late, and then they're just looking at CV. Oh, this particular person is there. But why don't you tell us something about yourself? That indicates the candidate that interviewers are not prepared, and then the candidate start taking the lead, and then he would try to impress upon. He would take you to his strength areas. He would talk about what he has done, maybe in that 5 minutes or 10 minutes introduction. On the contrary, you need to prepare the full questionnaire, the behavioral event interview questionnaire, that you are going to focus on this particular 2 or 3 competencies and what are the sub questions will come into. And then you see the beauty of the interview. If the candidates are thorough, they are well prepared, and they have really done this work, they have really achieved something, they would like it. They would enjoy this interaction.
Excellent. Very good to know all these valuable points from you.